It's about time. Let's break out the walls.
Wall's gonna be great. Did you know that?
Brought to you by Gatorade.
The haunted Gatorade.
What's up? Welcome back to the Chill Factor channel. Joker hanging out with you here tonight. I am going to finally give you guys a video that I have been promising for a while. The weather's starting to get a little bit better outside. I don't have, 18 inches of snow outside of my front doorstep of the studio here. So I figure it's about time. Let's break out the walls. While you're here, make sure you go down there, click that like, click that sub, click that bell, all that good stuff. That way you guys can hang out with us every single time that we add something new. So I wanted to start this video off with a little introduction to the actual way we build walls for our home haunts and even our haunted house that we did. So I hope you guys find this interesting. I'm gonna kind of take it away to myself and show you guys exactly how we build our walls, how we stabilize those walls, and I hope it's informative. I hope you guys find it somewhat entertaining, and then, well, Joker and Jawbreaker hanging out with you here today. Gonna show you guys basically how we put our walls together in the professional haunt or the home haunt, either way it goes. For those of you guys out there watching and you're curious as to maybe a new way or even your very first way of putting together some mazes or some walls in your haunted attraction, hopefully this will help you guys out and give you some ideas. This is pretty easy. It's not really that complicated. You gonna help?
Yes.
All right. Basically, you're gonna take a big piece of plyboard like this. You can paint it black, you can paint it whatever color you want. I used to do these vertically, and then due to winds and everything else, we kind of learned that that was not a good idea. So we started laying them down horizontal like this. Hold that.
And you need somebody to hold the side so the wall stands up.
Right, you want to hold it like about as straight as you could possibly hold it. You bring over what we call a tombstone, which is basically one of these cut into pieces. Jag at the edges a little bit, makes it more like a tombstone, and it keeps people from like hitting the shoulders or the hips on this part of the wall. What you do, you line it up just like a T. And if you get somebody to hold it steady like this, like my big helper here, once you put one or two screws into the end of this plyboard, you're pretty much good, and they don't necessarily have to hold it anymore. One of the hardest tricks for me is to get it to line up just right, because you're pretty much blind. You know, you're shooting it at this, and you're trying to make sure you just hit that little narrow space. It's about like that. You kind of look over the top and see if you missed or not. And I'd put 3 or 4 screws into it. I'm gonna put the other end on just to stabilize, and then I'm gonna show you guys another trick. Okay, so basically right now, all you have is this horizontal section, but with 2 tombstones, 1 on each end. It should form, about a 90 degree, to the best of your ability. Make sure that the middle section of the wall is pretty straight, looking on down. All right. Now, what we're gonna do, well, not yet. Actually, what we're gonna do is grab those little brackets.
And when you get done with these, you don't have to throw these away because you could just take them out and then put them right back wherever you keep them.
Exactly. So, I mean, we've used these for a couple of years in a row now. And, but these are gonna help stabilize all the corners of the wall. So you'll basically put it just like that. And then you'll screw it in.
Right here.
Yep, and then you'll do another one, yeah, just like he's doing right here. And you can put them, you can put as many as you want, but what it's going to do is keep this from becoming detached real easily. And then you can come around to the other side and do the same thing. But that is a really good way to kind of bump proof these walls, because when people are coming through the haunt and stuff, they're going to trip, they're going to run, they're going to get scared, they're going to run over each other, they're going to bump into the corners of these walls, and that could be disastrous. So anyways, we're going to do a couple of these, and then we'll move on to the next part. So you can take one, put it about right there. Jawbreaker here just made a good point. The screws we normally use on like the part that we just did are these, the little self taps.
But when we use
I got one here. You want to show them?
Yeah. When we use one of these, we usually will use these tiny silver.
Yep. And the reason why you do that is obviously if you don't want to have screws sticking out of the walls that could scratch somebody or anything like that.
Yeah, so we use the little ones.
So these in here. I'm not going to do these all the way around because I think it would be overkill for the video, but just know that you can use as many as you want. But on corners where people are going to bump into stuff, I would do one here, and the same on the other side. Especially if this is a roundabout corner that people are going to be going around.
As a person, there might be something scary over here and bump into that wall, and it might move that.
Yeah, or knock it loose, or no matter. I mean, we've had it happen before.
It can come back and hit the person.
Exactly. But anyways, these will kind of look like that when you're done. I mean, and believe me, it stabilizes. You like shake it a little bit, right? Like, I mean, it stabilizes the entire. Once you do it all the way around, it's not gonna move, and you're good. All right, so now we have your base, basically what I call your base, anyways. And you got your corners all stabilized, and you have the bottom part of your wall. The next part, I got an idea about how to keep the top part of the wall a little bit lighter and a little bit more flexible for designs or anything like that. Oh, and by the way, if you want to do trapdoors or if you want to do anything like that, just cut a hole in these walls right here. Actually, it doesn't hurt the stability of the walls as long as you don't do it on the end where it can't grip the tombstone.
This is what we're going to use for the top.
Make sure you're standing in front.
You need a big, long board like this.
Now keep in mind, normally these plywood pieces come in 8 feet sections. This one's a little bit shorter because I had to shorten one of my corners this year. But it was an easy one for me to manhandle today. But yes, these are your normal 8-foot dog ear boards. Just the same kind of board that people use for fences around the yard. But what you'll do is you'll put this right here, right snug in that corner. Okay, you want to hold that for me? So anyways, you secure that. A few more of these in here. And that's a really simple ordeal. I mean, you're just putting a board right there in the corner. We're gonna do the same thing down here on this end. And you wanna do it on the opposite side. In a minute, I'll show you why. When you're putting your screws into these, you can use the long ones and that's okay. But aim them towards the inside. Because if you do them out here, somebody still has a chance of scraping themselves. So just, aim your screw up this way. That way it'll just barely come out, and if it does, it's on the inside. And now, the reason why you want to do one on the outside and one on the inside
is because the board's going to go in the middle of those.
Right.
So it holds that side and that side.
And that side, very good. And that damn Gatorade, I've kicked it over like 8 times now. Give me a drink.
The haunted Gatorade.
Brought to you by Gatorade.
The haunted Gatorade.
So like I said, it goes on the inside of one and on the outside of the other. Now, normally this would fit snug as a bug because these would be 8 foot and this would be 8 foot. But since this is a little bit shorter, it's going to be sticking out a little bit, and that's fine. If you're really, OCD or whatever, you can cut it off, or you can leave it longer. That way there aren't any gaps between this wall and the next one.
You're going to make a couple of these because you want them all around the hot.
Make this wall as tall or as short as you want to, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah?
I mean, at least up to 8 feet.
Don't want it to be too big. Brought to you by Jawbreaker.
No matter how you build this, if there are imperfections, that's okay. Because for one, it's going to be dark mostly. And two, it gives it character. Like this right here, if I was just to use this board, it'll have that gap in it. So, I don't know, to me, I even have boards that are like missing chunks, but I'll just put them up there anyways, gives a little bit of a character. I even have some old whitewashed boards from like the 1940s.
Wall's gonna be great. Did you know that?
One reason I prefer to use these walls instead of like the normal, like maybe paper thin type walls you see a lot of people make home hunts out of and stuff, or even the drop cloth stuff. You can't hang decorations on drop cloth and stuff like that. I hate that because I have so many different. I even have animatronics that can hang off these walls. They're sturdy, they're not going to go anywhere. So, in a nutshell, that's how I do my walls. I usually don't go up any higher than that. It's kind of overkill when you do. but you know, it's a pretty simple design. There's nothing really overly complicated about it. I think that the big piece of plywood was, I want to say they're about $5. Don't quote me. Each of the little dog ear boards was probably about $2 or $3 each. The math on them's not too bad. But anyways, that is our walls. Pretty simple. Whenever you deck this out with however you want to decorate it, you totally can. You know, if you even want to cover the boards with bisqueen, if you don't like the boards, you can do that. But at least you'll know you actually have like a, you know, real wall behind the bisqueen, and it's not just like hanging there. And I mean, another neat thing I like about having these corners here can be utilized in a lot of ways, these little shoulders. Because you can take a 2x4, you can put a shelf little area, like I put jumping spiders on these little parts here. That way they're not just jumping out at your ankles, but no, they're jumping out at you like, you know, in your face. That is basically our pretty generic wall setup. It's sturdy, it's safe. It took me several years to get this right to where I like it. If you don't like the tombstones sticking out so far, they don't have to be. You could make them shorter in width. I mean, in the next wall that you build, the only thing you're going to do is just butt the other one's tombstone right against this one, so it'll be a double tombstone in between each section of walls. If you want to do a trap door, just cut it out, put a little like black cloth over it so people can't see as you run through the haunt, scaring people. But this is a great application for a home haunt or a professional haunt, doesn't matter. It's what I have found, and it's, I don't know, it's the method I like to use. Look at the spider webs. That's funny. Those are actually from the spider web gun, the web gun. We should do a video for the web gun.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool.
So I guess we'll have a web gun coming up maybe.
All right, so what'd you think, right? All right, this is how we do our walls around these parts. Everybody has different methods, and that's totally fine. Doesn't matter. Everybody has their own ways. Some people go for a more, you know, budget type thing. Some people go for something that's a little bit easier that will just make a room dark, like bisqueen and that kind of thing. Nothing wrong with any method. Doesn't matter what your method is, as long as you get the scares that you want to get, right? That's what matters. Tell me what you guys think about my particular build and how I've kind of adapted what I learned from being a manager at Spirit Halloween to what I do in my home haunt and my professional haunts now. Those wall segments that you see in our videos, I used to do those vertically, because for merchandise, for a Spirit Halloween store, that's exactly how you do it. You know, you got those 8-foot walls with the tombstones on the side, and you can put the pegs, and you can hang the merchandise, and you can shop, and you can spend a whole bunch of money that you never really wanted to spend. I learned my lesson. It's just really top heavy, and you know, those haunt walls can stay up for a month at a time while I'm building and decorating everything, and winds and weather happen. Doesn't matter. It's still a big parachute, and it all fell down on an SUV, and it sucked. Anyways, I learned my lesson, okay? So now I have this new method that is better looking, more sturdy. It's just better all around, to be honest with you. So anyways, check out my new method, and leave me some comments. You know, let me know what you think, though, because believe me, I'm sure that this can always be improved. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys. You do what you do. I'm going to do what I do. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.